Okay, class, so the second video, we are going to take a look at these examples of graphing the equation. This problem asks us to graph the equation y equals negative 4x plus 1. So the first thing that I'm noticing about this equation is my slope. I see negative 4x, and I know that number right next to my x, that number that's multiplied by x, is going to be my slope. So I know negative 4 means my slope is going to go down 4 units every time it goes over 1 unit. But I have to know where my starting point is, right? And which value tells me my starting point? Well, as we learned in class, we know that y-intercept is going to tell me my starting point. Y-intercept, we can see, is this number dangling at the end. In this case, my y-intercept is negative 1. So I'm going to start by graphing my y-intercept, that number that's all by itself without x attached to it. So I'm going to go ahead and plot a point that is negative 1 on my y-axis. And then I'm going to use my slope, negative 4x. That tells me I'm going to go down 4 units. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 every time I move 1 unit to the right. So when I'm graphing my line, I'm going to go ahead and click this line tool. Well, first let me place another point. So I'm going to place my point here, minus 4 units, 1 unit to the right. Then I'm going to use my line tool. I'm going to click on my first point and click on my second point and graph my equation. So describing the steps, my first step was to plot my y-intercept on the y-axis. So my first step was to place this point right here. Since I know our equation ends in negative 1, I know that's where it's going to cross my axis. So I plotted that point first. My second point was I found one slope worth space away. So I used my slope, which is negative 4. I counted 4 units down and 1 unit to the right, because we know a slope of negative 4 means every time we move 1 step to the right, it's going to go 4 units down. So I found my slope and plotted 1 more point. And now that I have 2 points, I just have to draw a line connecting my 2 points. That last step is easy, right? I just use the line tool, click on my 2 points, and it makes a line. So how can I check if this is correct? Well, the way I can check is I can plug in my numbers and see if they're right. So I can take right here an x-axis of 0 and a y value of negative 1. So I can plug in 0 for x. If I plug in 0 and I multiply negative 4 times 0, that's going to give me 0. Minus 1 is going to give me minus 1. I can plug in this value as well. When my x value is 1, I'll plug in a 1. 1 times negative 4 is going to be negative 4 minus 1 is negative 5. And where is my y value? Well, it's at negative 5. So to check it, I can plug in my x value and see if the y value is what shows up on my graph. Another one. This one tells us our slope is negative 1 and our y-intercept is 5. So this time we don't even need to read an equation, but it's going to ask us to write our own equation. So my y-intercept is 5, so I'm going to go ahead and put a point at 5, and then my slope is negative 1. So that means every time I move 1 unit to the right, I'm going to go down 1 unit. So I'm going to make another point that is down 1 unit and 1 unit to the right. Let me make another point that's down 1 unit and 1 unit to the right. And once I have my 2 points, I can use my line tool to make my line. Now I have to write an equation. So I know I'm going to use my y equals, then my slope is negative 1 times x plus my y-intercept, which is 5.